Hey everybody, just a quick setup and some options for today's session. We're gonna hit some arms, abdominals, and adductors, which are your inner thighs, as well as hamstrings. About 36 to 38 minutes of movement. First thing, let's get the machine set up. Go ahead and pull your black cables off the back handlebars. Make sure they're not wrapped around the bars, otherwise they may be uneven or heavier than you intend them to be. Red cables also are going to be used today, so just make sure they're hung up on the handles or the rail back there so that you can easily grab them. We're going to be starting at the back facing the front, and you'll hear me in the video say you can start at the front facing the back as a modification, a little less intense. Another option would be starting at the back in the same position that Jessica does, but from your knees. And we're basically just setting up a push-up in that first 20-30 seconds anyways, so down on the knees would be a great place to start. Shortly after that first opening core block, we're going to be moving into the mega hamstring curl. Fairly intense exercise here at the back, but really getting into it is a little bit trickier than the exercise itself. So I'm going to show you this setup real quick. Sitting onto the back platform, we'll be transitioning from super crunch into the hamstring curl. Feet are going to be on the carriage. It doesn't matter whether they're in front of the strap or behind the strap, except for spring load. The closer your heels are to the back edge, the lighter it's going to be. If your feet are slippery or your socks are not grippy, you might want your feet in front of the strap so they're not sliding around. Take a look at your feet. Make sure your feet are hips distance. Make sure your toes point straight ahead. What you don't want is your toes turn out to the side. That can be cranky for the lower back, and we want to protect the lower back. Getting into it, grab onto your bars, and as gracefully as you can with some upper body and core strength, lower your head and your upper back onto the back platform. You'll see my head is fully supported. I don't feel like I have to hold it up. You do not want your neck hanging off the back. Make sure you lengthen your tailbone up towards the back of your knees so your low back is nice and long and you feel some core engagement here. If you feel pressure in your lower back, I'm gonna say go ahead and move up to the front immediately. As we start to move in and out here, you wanna make sure those inner thighs stay engaged as well. Now getting out of it can be just as fun. Grab onto your bars, kind of slide yourself up a little bit, and then one foot comes down to the floor. If you needed to do this one up at the front, it looks very similar. You'll be laying down on the carriage. Same idea with the feet, hips distance width apart. Laying down, lift the hips up to the sky. So this is the variation at the front, and it's the same movement, that hamstring curl sliding back and forth. Now when we get out of the hamstring curl, we're going to be moving into inner thighs. If you're at the back of the machine, we're going to be in those kneeling inner thighs. If you take it at the front, you can definitely come right up to the back and do the kneeling inner thighs at the back, or you can change it up and do the standing inner thighs at the front. Maybe you do the first set of inner thighs standing up at the front and take the second set at the back. Either way, it's all good. When we move into our second arm block, I'm going to give you a fairly large spring range. 3 to 5 yellows, 5 being the heavier side. 3 yellows would be the lighter side. You can even go as light as 2 yellows if you're rehabbing shoulders, neck, or maybe you're just extra sore from whatever you did yesterday or earlier in the week. It is all good. Gonna have the black cables in your hands. You'll have your springs on. We'll be facing towards the front to start. I do want to point out, you can change your tension a lot without touching those springs. Scooting backwards on the carriage makes it a lot lighter. If I scoot my knees back 2 inches, it's like taking half a spring off. If I sit down on my heels and scoot back, I could take like 2 yellow springs off. If you scoot forward, it's gonna be the opposite. We're gonna be transitioning from using the cables for arms into using them for arms and abdominals as we transition to another core block. The exercise I wanna demonstrate next is mega crunch. You'll still have your cables in your hands. You're gonna tuck your toes underneath the strap. We're gonna be extending our arms up above our head, keeping the arms here, again, with the cables in your hand. And we're gonna try to keep them extended as we begin to hinge the torso back. Now you'll see, or maybe you can't see, I'm shaking already, and I haven't done the whole class with you, and I also don't have my cables in my hands. So if it doesn't feel right, drop those cables. It's hard with your arms up over your head anyways. You'll see I have Jessica in the video take the longer straps in her hands. That's, again, gonna make it lighter. So maybe try it with the longer straps, ditch them if you need to, or maybe you just go for gold, whatever it is. From there, like I said, we'll be transitioning into our almost or second to last core block. We're gonna be trying out spoon in this series today. So for spoon, we'll be doing it at the front. Adding on more springs is gonna make it easier. I have Jessica a couple times as she's starting to get tired. She steps one foot down to the floor to take a little beat off her wrist real quick. Just make sure, please, that when you step one foot to the floor, keep the other foot on the front edge of the carriage so you don't smoosh your shin between the carriage and the platform. You could also spend a good amount of time just holding your body up in that spoon position without moving. Friends, this is hard. This is real hard. So maybe it's holding here, stepping a foot down, geez, getting right back to it. The movement is actually that piking back. So that's a fairly intense one for today. Moving right along, you'll be coming into your last arm block, which will be hitting the back muscles pretty good. You guys all know your lat pull and your tricep pull at the back. So we'll be coming from this position into this position, and I'm gonna call out that final spring change. You're gonna ride to the front, come down to one yellow. Jessica pops right back up to the back for that giant reverse plank series. If you're gassed by that point, if you're like, nope, you might turn around and take it at the front, and that's all good. That'll be your last little core block. Good, let's get to it and have some fun. Jessica, we'll get started in just a second, but I'm gonna have Jessica start at the back of the machine today, facing the front. This is called a giant position. If you're not feeling that this morning, you could start where she is now, so at the front, but facing the back, so kind of the opposite direction, exactly. And that would be no big deal. As always, smaller range of motion is gonna make everything easier. Knees down can definitely be the best way to modify your planks. All that said, let's get this party started. Jessica, we're gonna start on one yellow at the back of the machine facing the front in a giant plank position. So her toes on the back platform, hands out on the carriage, and then nice and strong, just extending out into your plank. Now, if you're at the back, remember that the further forward your hands are, the heavier the spring load is going to feel, the harder it's gonna be. We're gonna hold here about 20 more seconds, lifting through the core, engaging through the legs intentionally, pushing down actively into your hands, get a soft bend into the elbows. Now, if you're at the front, facing the back, same goes. The further out your hands are, the less support you're gonna have from the spring, so the more challenging it's gonna be. 4 more seconds. We're gonna start to take this into real slow push-ups. In 3, 2, begin to bend the elbows, slowly lowering down, maybe your biggest range of motion while we're pretty fresh here. Knees down, great place to modify. I'm more concerned with the tempo than staying up on your toes. Keep it slow, keep it tight. We're shaking already over here, looks so good, Jessica. 10 seconds. We're gonna come down into a nice strong hold in 4 seconds. Low as you can get. 3, 2, hold it down nice and strong. Just 3, we go back to full range for the final 7 in 2 and 1, real slow, lifting up, bringing it right back down. Last 5, elbows and knees for that kneeling crunch. We'll be flexing the spine in 3, 2, 1, awesome. So right here in the same position again, if you're at the front facing the back, just stay there. Elbows are down, you'll see she shifts her hips forward into that nice strong modified plank. And then as you exhale, squeezing, lifting, scooping out those lower abs. Whether you're at the front or the back, I want you to try to keep your shins actively pushing down into the platform behind you. Shoulders right over the elbows all the way through. And you'll see how Jess stops her hips when they're slightly in front of her knees. It's everything, you guys. Try not to pull the booty back too far. 12 more seconds. All I want from you right now is see if you can slow it down. Yes. We're gonna slide it out into that modified plank in 3, 2, hips press forward, lift from the lower abs, everybody. Hug those front ribs to your back, lift the back of your head a little bit. And now real slow, start small, start to saw your elbows forward, yes. Super slow, if you can add a little pause out there, add a little pause, yes. 8 more seconds like this. Squeezing and breathing, activate those inner thighs for me. 5, 4, 3, stack your shoulders right over your elbows and then real slow, pull back into that rounding position. Keep those shins packing down. Try again to keep the hips forward of the knees. Don't be afraid to pause at either side of the movement. When I'm up in that big rounded shape, I like to hold and emphasize tucking my lower abs a little more, releasing the neck a little bit, and then same goes at the front of the movement. How do you make this easier? Don't go out so far, right? 6 more seconds. We're gonna come back into that modified saw one more time in 3, 2, hips come all the way forward. Now hold it here for me for a second. Point those toes. Activate your inner thighs, squeeze your butt, lift the core. And then real slow, saw your shoulders. If you're going for it, maybe it gets bigger and slower now. If you're barely hanging on, I'm into it, right? Maybe you spend a lot more time holding than actually sawing. She's got 6 more seconds. We're gonna pull halfway in, straight into that rounded pulse. Shoulders over elbows in 3, 2, halfway in, tuck, 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 hold, and then we're going up and in, yes, up and in. We're gonna burn it out right after this. 8 more seconds in this deep, deep squeeze. Hands are coming up, your knees will stay down. Hit that modified plank for me and just hold it. 3, 2, 1. Woo. Good one, Jess. Hands down, hips forward into this modified plank. Still, I want the shins down, shoulders over the wrist line, which if you slide your hands a little bit forward, feel how difficult, don't keep your hands right where they are, but just slide the carriage out a little bit. Exactly, so with the shoulders right over the wrist, she feels those upper abs just light on fire. I want you to really try to stop here when we pull in, even when it's shaken. Slowly start to slide your arms forward. Doesn't need to be big. Oh yes, Jessica, perfect form. And then see how small that range of motion is? You guys, she's already halfway through. We're already halfway there. Big old inhales, big old exhales. For the challenge, can you hold it out for a second or 2 before you slide it back in? If you're feeling really strong right now, know that you've got 18 seconds. Can you bring in a cobra here? Maybe, maybe not. Cobra's pretty dang big here at the back. Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Shoulders over elbows if you're taking that cobra. Last 7 seconds. We're going to sit down for that super crunch. 4, I want your butt at the back edge of that platform. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Good fight. Woo. So hips are down. Scoot your booty all the way back. Toes hook the strap. And then start to move here. Your spine, I want it to stay really straight as your legs extend. You lean back, I don't care how far. See if you can bring your fingertips, not hands behind the head, that might feel tight at this hour, but fingertips behind the ears, elbows wide, feel your shoulder blades pulling apart. Awesome. Lift your heart up as you rise. Beautiful, Jessica. And then as you lean back, try to keep the back of your head coming back so your chin does not get closer to your chest. So strong. For me, there's an action of tucking the tailbone as the legs slide out. See if you can challenge and get your legs a little bit straighter here. Yes, if you need to move your arms to chest, to prayer, you totally can. Another great variation is arms reaching up away from you. Again, still functionally working through those shoulders for me. Real slow, real strong. You've only got 10 more seconds and we're gonna hit a back-to-back challenge here. We'll go legs first and then torso last. 3, 2, hold it about halfway, and then once you're halfway, push it back a little bit further. Bring the back of your head back a little bit, chin towards the throat. Do something to challenge yourself with your arms. Maybe arms up a little higher. And now legs start to go straight. I want you to try to go all the way to straight and then real slow bringing it back in. Lift that chin just a little bit. Beautiful. 8 more seconds just like this. Those legs are pulling halfway in. 4, 3, 2, hold it halfway in. Tuck those lower abs, hug the ribs and engage your lats. For the challenge, fingertips behind the ears, 1 to 2 inches of movement, 1 to 2 inches back, fight for it, and then 1 to 2 inches forward. We're going mega hamstring curl. Again, if you need it at the front, your feet are on the front platform. 3, 2, 1. So Jess' feet come right in front of the strap, and then her booty's gonna slide forward. Bring it in front of the strap. Yeah, there you go. And then she's using her handlebars to carefully slide her upper back and her head onto the back platform. So go ahead and scooch down so your head is supported even more. About 3 more inches. There you are. Good. And then whatever you like with your arms. Arms could be reaching to the sky. No, you want to keep your head down. So head will stay down. Move your hands out from behind your head. So either holding onto the bars, maybe arms to the sky. It's up to you, but you want your head relaxing down so that the neck is not having to work too hard here. Now, we want to try to keep our toes pointed straight ahead, and you want to try to keep your toes in contact with the carriage unless your legs are going all the way straight. Keep the tailbone lifting up. Bring the chin down towards your throat a little bit. Perfect. Nice and slow. And your feet stop right underneath the knees, and then we slide it out from there. Full big range of motion right now, about halfway through already. Nice reach, Jessica. On the next one, I want you to bring it almost all the way in. So heels right underneath the knees or slightly forward of that. Now spend a second, maybe lower your hips a little bit, and then try to lift your tailbone up to lengthen out your lower back, and then press your hips back up so you feel those glutes working. Think about spinning your inner thighs down towards the floor, hang on to it tightly, hug your front ribs down into your back. Awesome adjustment. Now from here, I want you to go 1 inch out, and then 1 inch in, super strong. Awesome, Jess. 1 inch out, feeling those glutes work, but try not to let them take over. Feel this pull from your hamstrings. 1 inch in, right there in the fire. 1 inch out. She's got 5 seconds like this. We go big, we go back to full range, as big as you can move safely in 3, 2, go all the way out, pull all the way back in. She's got 20 seconds like this. Big pulls of air, fresh oxygenated blood coming to those muscles. Inner thighs are still squeezing. Tailbone is lifting up, you guys. Your abs should be on fire right now. If those lower corset muscles aren't burning, get them to. Super strong. Big inhales, big exhales. 8 seconds, we're gonna burn those buns a little bit. Nice reach, Jess. Hips, or rather knees right over the ankles in 3, 2, hold it. Now do the work to lengthen out that lower back for me. Again, lift that tailbone up, yes. Hug those front ribs down, feel the abs curl in, beautiful. And then now real slow, try not to let the carriage move. Remember, less is more. A little squeeze up, squeeze those cheeks. And then a little release down. A little squeeze up, and now no need to go down, just keep pushing up. Up. We're gonna transition carefully, kneeling in her thighs, right knee on the platform. 3, 2, 1. Awesome, Jessica. So her right knee is gonna be where her shoulders were, her left knee inside the strap. I like to line my knees up with the white line. Drop your tailbone down. Again, this is gonna be a major core challenge to keep your lumbar spine neutral after that big hamstring curl. Now for the challenge today, I'm gonna add some arms here. We're gonna bring the elbows to goalpost. First, while you're holding your shoulders here, keep moving your inner thighs, but try to feel your shoulder blades pulling away from each other, and then counter that by, again, hugging those front ribs in. Now, as slowly as we can, as she moves her legs, she's gonna start to move into a super slow shoulder press. So the arms will begin to lift up. You wanna keep your hands about elbow distance width all the way through. And then as she pulls down, I want her to actively pull, almost like she's doing a lat pull down. Spine looks beautiful, Jessica. So again, now that we got our arms and our legs moving, it's a little bit like patting your head and rubbing your belly. Don't let the core take the heat. Tailbone is lengthening down. If you have mirrors, check it out. If you don't have mirrors, use your hands. Make sure there's not a big dip in your low back. I like to keep, maybe check in, one hand on the front of your waist, one hand, back of your hand on the lower back. Nice and slow, steady. If this got to be too much for your arms, you could totally just hold right here. This is gonna be a massive shoulder challenge no matter what. Hands could always be in prayer. You could take your arms out to a T, whatever you got. We're just trying to keep the heart rate up, keep the upper body working while we're spicing up these adductors, the inner thighs. Next one, I want her to go out as far as she can. Big stretch here. Feel the groin, get the stretch, feel the work in the hips. Drop your tailbone against it. Perfect in the spine, Jessica. Hold it here. Now try to pull up on the front of your pelvis. Feel those lower abs working so hard. Feel the shoulders move away from your ears. Pull in 2 solid inches. And now hold it there. Yes, awesome. Sorry, there's a fly on here. Holding and breathing, squeezing. Now 1 more inch in. Hold it right there. Pull it on that core. Yes, so strong, Jess. Now 1 inch out. Woo. And then 2 inches in. Now 2 inches of movement right here in the fire. We're digging in. She has 5. We go back to full range in 3, 2. Last 10 seconds. Big movement in and a big squeeze out. Yes, so freaking strong. We're gonna move off the back. Most likely 2 yellows, chest opener. 3, 2, and 1. So stepping off the back with your red cables. 2 yellow springs. She'll be facing towards the front for chest opener. So set your feet. Remember, the further back you step from that platform back there, the heavier it's gonna be. Get a soft bend into your knees. You could have your feet together or your feet about hips distance. You wanna move through your shoulder blades first. So think about squeezing lifting your shoulder blades. I want you to keep your elbows really, really straight so you get the bonus burn of your triceps. Core is still working really hard. Now, the hard part about this exercise is you're almost working harder in the resistance phase. It's so obvious to us. Push back. And then most of us just kind of on the way forward. Try to go even slower on the way forward. Try not to let your hands come forward of your hips. Hug those front ribs in. Next one, let's press it back for a hold. Yes, reach your fingers down to the floor. Just 5. Push back a little bit further. Squeeze your shoulder blades and then hug those front ribs in against it. 3, 2, we're back to full range. She's got 15 seconds of movement, honest movement here. It's difficult to keep your hands in line with your hips. If you're having a hard time, step a little bit more forward. 8 more seconds. We're gonna take it straight into sexy back. If it were me, I would step closer to the back platform. Remember, you can always drop to 1 yellow if you need to. In 2, smooth transitions on 1. So we're gonna drop the butt back a little bit. Notice that I'm not in a squat, I'm more in a hinge position. So I want you leaning forward. Your gaze should be down at the floor, either at the back platform or slightly in front of it. Lift your elbows higher so you feel the challenge at the front of the deltoid. And then slowly you're extending your elbows all the way back. Perfect. Try to keep the wrists really straight here. So lengthen out the rib. Yeah, perfect. Lift the front ribs into your back just a little bit. Lift right there. Perfect adjustment. I want you to go pretty much all the way straight without locking the elbows, and then try to reduce the range of motion on the way forward. Next one, let's try to extend back for a little challenge. Feel the shoulders challenge, feel those triceps burning. Hold it nice and strong, breathe into it, solid just cut. Now, if you're feeling anything in the neck and the traps up here, try leaning forward more. We're just holding and breathing, everybody. With straight arms, straighten those elbows, little lifts up. Feel the work in the mid-back, feel the work in the triceps and the shoulders. 3, we have to go back to full range in 2, and 1, it's only 10 more seconds. Now we're gonna step the feet out wide and come into a nice deep sumo position. In 3, I want your elbows lifted in front of you. In 2, and 1. So a nice wide sumo position. You gotta get low, everybody. I'm talking thighs parallel to the floor. Bring your elbows in front of your shoulders and then bend your elbows to a 90-degree bend. I want you to hold it here. First things first, most of us collapse in the collarbone, so plug those shoulders back and in. See if you can lift the elbows even higher. If it's too heavy, try coming a little bit closer to that back platform. Nice, nice adjustment. Hug those front ribs in. Now from here, again, I want you to focus on trying to keep your elbows in line with your shoulders. We're not gonna go into a full extension of the arms, but I want you to start to extend straight-ish without dropping your elbows. And then curl in just to that 90, not closer than 90. Hold it there. And then here's the hard part. Use those shoulders, use your core, use your legs. I want you to go 1 to 2 honest, slow inches up. You gotta hold it there. Don't let those hands come closer to your shoulders. And then 1 to 2 honest inches down. You gotta hold it there to collect yourself. And then you're gonna go 2 to 3 inches forward. So it's a little combo of bicep and scoop. So you're squeezing in, you're holding it there, you're lifting up a little bit, holding it there, it burns. Bring it down a little bit, and then again, just that extension. Tiny, slow, solid movements. You guys, you only have 10 more seconds here. Sit a little bit lower into that squat, hold on to it, 8 seconds. She's gonna ditch those cables, hopping the back platform, coming into tricep dips. 3, it'll move your arms the opposite way. 2, and 1. Woo! That was so fun. So taking a seat, feet on the floor is gonna be the easiest way to do it. Hands right by your hips, get them pretty close to your hips. And then you can use your legs a lot here if you need to. Try to keep your booty right next to the platform as you bend your elbows back. You're gonna feel a massive stretch on the front of the shoulders, front of the chest after that last position. If you wanted more, start to straighten out your legs a little bit. You don't have to, it's a pretty difficult one. If you wanted the most, you could definitely bring your feet up onto the front edge of the carriage here. That's an extra big challenge. You have no support from your lower body. It's all in the arms. Try to keep your gaze forward, chin level to the floor. And then as she's coming down, I want her elbows hugging real tight towards each other. Yes, great adjustment. Next one, let's come about halfway down. right in the fire. Try to isolate through those triceps. Little squeeze down, little squeeze up. Yes. Super slow. We're still in control here. 4 seconds. We go back to full range for the last 10 in 3, 2, take it back to full range. 10 seconds, we're gonna transition into the inner thighs. This time, left knee on the back platform. 3, 2, 1. Whew. Good job, Jess. So left knee on the platform, right knee inside the strap. If you can activate that shoulder press again, try it out. If that's not happening, maybe hands down next to your hips, just like that chest opener position is real strong, whatever you've got. Your booty is going to be working a lot here over time with the inner thighs and with the lower abs. Try not to let the glutes take over, right? We want to try to isolate those inner thighs as much as possible. As you squeeze in, imagine you're squeezing your inner thighs up into your hip sockets. Perfect in the spine, Jessica. Keep the tailbone. Remember, hard part here, when you're getting tired, we got to keep that lower back lengthened. So not hips forward, but rather shifting the pelvic wheel, tailbone down. And when I do that, my front ribs flare out. So try to hug them back in. Awesome reach, Jessica. About 8 seconds, we're gonna take it into our hold again. This time I'm gonna challenge, and we're gonna see if we can keep the arms reaching up. 3, about all the way out as far as you can take it. Maybe you don't get as far this time. 2, hold it out far as you can. You're feeling that edge. Maybe you're shaking, toes active, lower booty squeezing, upper abs, lower abs squeezing, arms are reaching, shoulders are depressed away from your ears. Pull in 1 inch and hold it. Yeah, hold it right there. Now from here, 2 inches out, squeeze it real tight. Fight for those arms, fight for the back muscles, feel your heart rate rising. You have to breathe deeper. 6 seconds. We're gonna go big in 4, back to that biggest movement. Keep the arms moving if you can. 3, 2, 1, all the way out, all the way back in. This is last 20 seconds of movement here. We're taking it right up to the front, right back into those triceps. We're gonna be grabbing our black cables as we ride to the front. You'll be facing the front. Anywhere from 3 to 5 yellows. 3 is light, 5 is a challenge. Push yourself a little bit. 3, 2, 1. So as we ride on up to the front, you'll grab your black cables, 3 to 5 yellows. Knees down on the carriage, facing towards the front. Be careful as you come onto the carriage. It's a great place to lose your balance. So arms together up overhead, fingertips together most likely, or maybe your knuckles are touching. Try not to interlace your hands because that's kind of how we let one arm dominate the other. Hug the front ribs to your back. You can see Jessica is sitting down on her heels. If you wanted to make it heavier or get the lower body a little bit more involved, stand up onto the knees. Now, before you go adjusting your springs here, if you didn't choose the right spring load, it's a great place to injure a shoulder if you're reaching back behind you, trying to reach in your back seat while you're here on the carriage with your cables. How do you make this heavier? Scoot forward if you need to. How do you make it lighter? Scoot backwards or sit down on your heels. You do not need to change your springs to adjust your tension or your intensity here. Next one, I'm gonna have her come about halfway down, just like we did in the tricep dip. Hold on to it. Look at this nice, strong spine. Check in with it, right? Pull in on your low abs. Hug those front ribs slowly as she can. About 1 to 2 inches of movement. Keep it slow. There's pause at either side. Shoulders on point right now, Jessica. Super strong, super slow. 5 more seconds. We try to go back to full range without dropping, without shaking it out, without locking the elbows. Then 2 and 1. Up as high as you can get without locking those elbows. Last 10 seconds. We're gonna start to move into the chest a little bit more with a chest press with these cables. In 3, 2, and 1. So keeping the cables, I like to flip my grip so my hands are on top of the cables. But it doesn't matter. If you can't figure it out, it's all good. But now you can see that she's not kind of hindered with the strap. She's gonna bring her elbows down a little bit lower than her shoulders as she comes back, exactly. Stopping with elbows in line with your shoulders so you're not overextending, and then pressing forward. Awesome, nice and slow. Now, if you need to make it heavier, what do? Scoot forward or pick up off of your heels. If you needed to make it lighter, start to inch your knees backwards a little bit or sit down onto your heels. Tuck that tailbone a little bit, perfect. For a different kind of challenge, you guys, if you want to fire those hamstrings and your core a little more, you could lean a little bit forward. Not from your hips, but from your knees. It's extra challenging. Woo, get to work, Jessica. Super hard to balance. Careful on that one. Now, 8 seconds of movement. We're going to challenge it with, again, a smaller range of motion. Start to press it about 3/4, maybe a 2/3 of the way out. Hold it. Now we're going to go resist first. I want you to come about 1 inch back. Squeeze through your chest. Don't let the neck take over here. And then 1 inch out, right there in the fire. Super strong. 1 inch back. 1 inch forward, just 4 seconds. We push it back to full range. 3, 2, 1. Push all the way through. Woo, so fun, Jessica. We're gonna turn it right in to serve the platter. You guys try not to drop your arms. Try to keep them burning. Learn how to back off rather than to quit. 3, we flip the palms up, elbows into the ribs in 2, and 1. Flipping palms up, so smooth, Jess. Now, try to keep your elbows to lift right up, an inch or so in front of your rib cage. And then you're reaching up and forward. It doesn't need to go super high. It's less about going up. It's more about getting extension through the shoulders, through the chest, through the biceps. Tuck those low abs in just a little bit. One more time. Real slow. Try to spend more time with your arms away from you than with your arms into your ribs. Starting to fire now. I know it. 10 seconds. We're going to lift up into a hold. No pulse this time. We're just going to hold it there. Next one, start to lift up maybe 80, 90%. Breathe there. Feel like the core have to work. Great adjustments. Arms are reaching. Chin is pulling back towards your throat. Your butt is squeezing. Your inner thighs are still working. 3, 2, go back to full range. 10 seconds, I know. Woo, feels so good. The next one is going to take all of your energy. Your shoulders are getting tired. Hopefully your inner thighs are tired. And those abs have been working hard to support all this upper body work as well. Last time, let's reach those arms all the way up and forward. We hold, we breathe, squeezing. Now from here comes the big one. We don't have to go back to full range. 1 inch down, 1 inch up. Squeeze that core in nice and tight. You guys have 10 seconds. We're sitting on our butt. You're gonna keep the cables. Most likely, take the long straps in your hands. It's mega crunch. Overhead reach with the arms in 3, 2, 1. Now keep your cables. Maybe take the longer straps in your hands. You're gonna tuck the toes underneath the strap. I want your feet together, your knees together. Now if you need to really modify, you may drop the cables. First thing we're gonna do is extend the arms up. Her fingertips are touching in like a prayer position above her head. Long in the spine. Small movement to start, everybody. Don't move your arms. Keep them as an extension of your body. You lean back a little bit, find it, and then you only lift up to where you started. Yes, try to keep those elbows right in line with your ears. Lean it back, real slow, real strong. We're already to that halfway point. This is a big old challenge here. Use that inhale, exhale. Remember, you don't have to move. You can always hold when you need to hold. If you need to ditch those cables and keep just the arms up, ditch them. You gotta do what you gotta do here. Breathe in, breathe out. We're almost there. We've got 14 more seconds hanging on to it. Good fight, Jessica. Squeeze those legs together. Everybody squeeze your butt cheeks, squeeze your core. I need to feel that breathing. 10, 9, 8, we ditch the cables, changing down to 1 yellow. 2 is more support. Reverse high plank. 3, 2, 1. Drop those cables, and then you're at the front facing the back. So if you started at the front, you're in that same position. Hands on the 2 and the 4. Toes are tucked. I like my feet together these days, heels and toes touching. But if you've always done that, maybe try adding a little instability by moving your feet a little bit further apart. Squeezing and breathing. I'm gonna give you about 20 seconds here. What we're doing now, right? Feel how your arms feel after that first plank, and then you've had all that upper body work in the middle. Soften through your elbows, wrap the triceps back. We have 6 seconds, and then we're gonna take it into real slow push-ups. Probably the push-ups will be smaller. I'm not gonna hold you here long. 3, 2, real slow. Yes, Jessica. Slowly coming down. Feel that challenge at the bottom. Feel that heart rate pick up. We are getting there now. Big inhales, big exhales. She's got 15 seconds just like this. Woo. If you wanted to hit more triceps, you guys, it's much harder. Try shifting a little bit more forward. Get your elbows to touch your ribs on the way down. Just 6, 5, 4. We hit our plank to pike in 3, 2. Straight arms, push it away. Take it up to the sky. Yes, so slow. So strong, your shoulders are on fire. I want your heels lifted so high. Feel the length in your spine. Feel a little bit like super crunch, a little bit like that mega crunch. Beautiful form, Jessica. Almost there. Dig it in. We're gonna hit a challenge on this one. It will be a challenge for your shoulders. It's gonna be a challenge for your brain, no doubt. I want you to feel those abs working the most. In 3, take it about halfway up. 2, take it halfway, hold, lift. Can you come 1 inch down? 1 more inch down. Work out that neck a little bit. 1 inch up, 1 more inch up, just 5. The biggest push yet. We go back to full range. In 3, 2, take it away. All the way out, all the way back in. 10 seconds, wheelbarrow. 8, 7, 6, 5, 60 seconds straight up in our wheelbarrow. 3, 2, 1, knees down, hips forward. Arms are getting tired. They're meant to get tired. It's an arm-focused class. So hips are forward in that nice, strong, modified plank. I want your toes pointed. I want your shins pushing. How do you make this easier? Don't go out so far. How do you modify a little bit? You spend a lot more time holding than actually moving. If you can challenge it, let's get to work. Push it out there. Hold it longer. Hold it further. If you needed to get off your wrist, you could come to your elbows. If you want to start to bring that cobra in again, you definitely could. Dig in and dig through. Now, a great little option if you're feeling anything in your lower back or you're having a hard time connecting the core, there comes your cobra. You can always lift your hips up a little bit higher off that modified plank position. This is last 12 seconds. Big old challenge for the core coming. It will also challenge your shoulders at this point. Elbows down, plank hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo. Elbows down, extend out. Nice transition, Jessica. Holding out here, knees down, great place to modify, right? Now, when you're down on your elbows in a plank, it forces us to feel those abdominals work a little bit harder with our center of gravity lower. We're gonna start to move into the obliques a little bit. Slowly as you can, begin to roll your hips to one side. Hold it there. Make sure your shoulders feel level. I'm gonna have Jessica pull her right hip bone closer to that right armpit and really squeeze it, yes. And then slowly move back to center. And then roll over to the other side. And then same thing, she's gonna try to shorten that side waist, pulling hip bone to armpit, back to center. If she wanted a challenge in the center, which is gonna turn her brain on fire, she could add a little saw there. We only have 12 more seconds. Yes, Jessica, awesome fight. In 8 seconds, you're gonna keep your left arm side plank. Stay on the elbow. 3, 2, 1. Left elbow side plank. You could be on your knees for sure, especially if your shoulders are getting tired. Mine definitely would be. Right arm could reach to the sky. Right arm could also come down to help support you. Also, you always have the option to bring that top arm across the waist. Hug the front ribs into your back, tuck the tailbone. Now, as slowly as you can, and this is the hard part, I want you to go slow. Little strong squeezes up, lifting through that left side core, lifting the hip away from the floor. 5, 4, we switch sides. Right elbow down in 3, 2, 1. Right forearm down. Here we go. Now, same options on the other side. Left arm could reach. Left arm could support you. That's fine. You could always use your left elbow if your right shoulder isn't feeling it. Same scan here. Hug those front ribs in, tuck the tail. As strong and as slow as you can move. Little squeezes up with that right hip away from the floor. Up away from the floor. Yes, we have 8 more seconds. Biggest push yet is coming. If you need more support for this one, I'm gonna give Jess another yellow spring just for the support. It's spoon at the front in 3, 2, 1. Now, we're gonna start with our hands up on your high bars, and then we're gonna bring the balls of our feet on. So start by standing up and getting your hands up first. 1 foot on the platform, and then bring the ball of 1 foot to the front edge of your carriage. Then shift your weight into your arms and bring the other foot to the front edge. Little trick before we start to move, if you need a break on your wrist, step a foot to the floor real quick. Make sure you keep the other foot on the carriage so you don't smoosh a leg. Keeping her arms pretty straight and strong, she's gonna start to pike her hips back. Yes. Real slow, she brings it forward. Notice this control. She stops her hips right in her line with her wrists, and then she's pulling back from there. The hardest part is controlling the way forward. How do you advance it? You keep lifting higher. Eventually, you might be able to get the carriage to close. Probably not today when your arms are feeling like this. We've only got 20 more seconds here. It is huge amount of time. If you need to get off those wrists for a beat, step a foot to the floor. Lift off those shoulders a little bit. If you can bring in a tricep dip, bring it in, bring it in. Last little push here. We're gonna be taking it up to the back, starting on those back muscles a little bit more. Looks so good, Jessica. Anywhere, I'm gonna say 3 or 4 yellows for the challenge today. Lat pull off the back. In 3, 2, 1. Great job. So 3 to 4 yellows. If you need to modify, you can definitely go 2 yellows. Hands are gonna be on your vertical bars, knees against the strap. Big, wide lat pull down. So elbows pull out to the side, not in line with your shoulders, but probably about 45 degrees. Think about the same line that when you bend your elbows in your push-up. Now start to slow it down a lot. Squeeze your glutes, activate those inner thighs. See if you can activate your hamstrings here as well. Real slow, real strong. Breathing in, and breathing out. We're gonna hit one, we're on our final block here. So we're gonna hit one more tricep emphasis after this one. Right now we're working lats. You'll feel your rhomboids in your shoulders as well. You'll notice Jessica's spine is perfectly neutral here. It looks awesome. Make sure you're not overly rounding into your lower back. Most of us tend to kind of over tuck here. So feel that lengthening back of the tailbone. Breathe. No holds, no challenges in this one. We're just about halfway through. So pulling in as tight as you can for the challenge. Try to get your face over the middle of that back platform. If you can close the carriage, awesome. And then when you're extending out, try not to let your elbows go all the way straight. Something I'm working on is really staying in that top half of the range of motion. So once you get it in as tight as you can, maybe you're only going halfway out. Your heart rate will stay a little higher. You gotta battle your shoulders a little bit. Perfect form, Jessica. Only 10 more seconds here. This will be challenging for the core and the legs again. We're gonna bring our hands down onto those back handlebars for the tricep pull. Pretty much the same position. Your elbows just hug in a little narrower. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Hands down. Chest is gonna stay at the height of your hips here. So lift the shoulders just a little bit. Beautiful. Now, again, big range of motion. I know you're feeling the challenge now. Pull all the way in as tight as you can. And then maybe only 3/4 straight. Maybe every other one is only halfway straight. Check in with those inner thighs for me. Check in, squeeze your butt cheeks. I know that your hips are tired of sitting in this position. I know that. Mine would be too. It's a battle for me. It's one of my nemesises, doing these 2 back to back. Next one, let's squeeze it all the way in, as tight as you can get it, as tight as you can get it. Fight for it, relax your neck, your jaw, your throat, your face. Now 1 honest inch out and 1 honest inch in. Use your breath, use that core, dig in, we're almost there. 1 inch in, 1 honest inch out. Breathing and squeezing. 8 seconds, we go back to full range for the last 10. Didn't mention it earlier, but you could totally go 1 arm at a time if your spring load is appropriate. And pull it all the way in on this next one. Hold it tight for 2. And we go back to full range. Last 10 seconds. We're gonna take a little ride to the front from here. We'll go 1 yellow spring and push right on up to the back again for giant reverse wheelbarrow. 3, 2, 1. Little ride to the front. If you need to stay at the front, turn around and face the front. Otherwise, we're coming right on up to the back. Hands are down. We've taken our wheelbarrow several times already. Why? Because it's a great core and upper body exercise. Lats, triceps, shoulders are your movers. So same muscles we were just working in that last position. Core is now more of the focus, maintaining this beautiful long spine. She's released her hips from that flexed position, so this might feel a little bit of a relief. Next one, let's go ahead and slide it out. Maybe only halfway, maybe only 1/2 inch, whatever. Slide it out as far as you can hold it. We're holding for 5. Looks so friggin' strong, Jessica. Lift the head, everybody. Relax the jaw. 3, 2, go back to full range. 14 honest seconds right here. You have 1 minute left after this. This is last 8 seconds. We're gonna come up to our toes. Toes under the strap will be easiest. Stay up on your hands if you can. I find it harder on the elbows. High plank. Remember, you can go to the front if you need to. In 2 and 1. Up to that high plank, under that 60 seconds. So about 57 seconds left, establishing this solid core right here. I want you to focus your tempo now, everybody. Biggest inhale as slowly as she can. She's gonna start to bend her knees into bear. Yes, look at that tempo. Look at her hips right in line with shoulders. We only have 30 more seconds now. That's how slow we're going. Hardest part for me is when I go all the way to straight. Digging in, your form is on point, Jessica. Let's fight right now, you guys. 24 seconds. Big inhales, fire up that chest. Big exhales, you do not drop out now. Instead of dropping, maybe you piked up one time to, change it up a little bit, but you don't stop now. Last 12. Next one, bring those knees in right under your hips. Hold it so strong, right here, right now. 1 inch out, 1 inch in, it's 6, 5, 4, child's pose in 3, 2, 1. Woo! Good job, Jessica.